You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon.
Are you going to play the music?
Today we're going to be talking about the fourth serial of the 13th season of Doctor Who, The Android Invasion, which consists of 4 episodes that aired from November 22nd, 1975 to December 13th, 1975.
True facts!
And I want to give a special shout out to Matt Golden for getting us these episodes.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
You can follow him on Tumblr at mgoldentumbles.tumblr.com. That's Tumblr's without a E. Because it be the Tumblr. Tony's mocking me this whole time. Don't mock the Joe facts.
No, I love the Joe facts. They're very informative.
And I say them in a
factual,
funny voice.
And there's nothing better than opening a podcast with some just dry, boring facts.
I know about these things. That's why I do it. I'm in the game. I'm in the podcast business.
Bid?
Business. I might have forgot the Z. So, how you doing?
I mean, you know.
Yeah? Anything exciting happening in your life?
Yes, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
Next week?
Yeah.
It starts. Or continues.
I have good news. Stuff is happening.
It's a boy.
But I'm afraid if I talk about it too soon, the universe will decide that it doesn't get to happen. So, I'll tell you about it in a couple of months.
We're not pregnant.
No.
Just gonna clarify.
Though if we ever do get pregnant, we should definitely break the news on our podcast before, telling our parents.
That'd be hilarious.
I think so.
Your mom would never know.
That's true.
You guys will get it first. It'll be a Rassilon exclusive.
Exclusive?
It's short for exclusive.
Who says that?
I'm pretty sure Scott Aukerman does.
Oh, okay.
Listen, I'm in the podcast business.
Business.
I know these terms and phrases.
What about you? Anything exciting?
Actually, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be hanging out with Chris Cherry.
Why are you going to go see Chris Cherry?
I am going to go see Chris Cherry because he's my friend.
Oh.
Also, I am in a festival? Pitch competition.
Pitch Fest.
Well, I mean, it's not a pitch festival. I mean, it's a web series festival. And there's a pitch competition in it. Like, the whole thing's not pitch, just pitches.
It's Pitch Fest. We're going to talk about pitches.
By the time this episode comes out, I'll already be back from it. But
Oh, I missed you.
I missed you, too.
I'm glad you're back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all the crazy stuff that happened while I was gone. But yeah, hopefully that'll go well. I'm pitching a show, so fingers crossed. But yeah, anything else going on in our life we need to talk about?
Stuff leaked. We could talk about that.
Stuff leaked.
I didn't get to see it.
I showed it to you.
Well, yeah. That got posted in the group chat, and I was driving from one state to the other and was like, oh, that looks interesting. And by the time I got to the other state, it was taken down, and I was like, well, I need to see.
I still found it for you, though.
Yeah, it looked good.
It was in a Tumblr comment somewhere. I mean, I didn't do that, wink.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to see 13, so,
She's cute.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm, even more excited now, so... It's not a bad thing. I don't think it's going to ruin the experience that I saw this one scene. And we saw her Sonic. I guess that's her Sonic. That's phallic.
Yeah, I don't know why they had to make it look so much like a vibrator.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
You're asking me like I'd know.
I'm not wrong though, right?
No, it's definitely, it's got a little...
Yeah!
A hook to it.
For reaching things. All right.
Yeah.
We can talk about the episode now.
Do you want to explain what things would it be reaching?
Just inside places.
Certain spots, perhaps?
Anyway, we can stop talking
about it. It's a spot reacher.
We can stop talking about this now.
Let's talk about the episode then.
All right.
The Android Invasion. Episode 1, which I have titled Doctor in Detention. I don't entirely remember why, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. I was initially worried about this serial.
Because it's Terry Nation?
Because it's Terry Nation. And I've not been on good terms with him lately. Though Genesis that Alex was great. And like the first Alex was good. Everything in between, he's not been the best at.
That's fair. I'd say that's fair.
And he's very repetitive. And I'm going to say this serial is not... Nearly everything in it has been done on the show before.
But not in this order.
Not all together all at once.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And it's fun. So.
This is a very fun one.
First thing we get is what I call Twitchy. There is a unit soldier just walking through the woods.
Were you frustrated that it was a unit soldier, but you didn't know who it was?
A little bit. That's going to get worse as the serial progresses. He's just a random unit soldier, and he's like twitching all over. Why? Is it just like a faulty one? Like, it doesn't ever really... Why he's all messed up and doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, I think it's just mostly there to be like, something's weird. Something weird is going on. But the TARDIS lands. The Doctor comes out and is drinking ginger pop, which is a plot point.
Surprisingly enough, yes.
Sarah Jane comes out dressed like a pink sailor. I like her outfit.
Yeah, another good outfit.
Yeah, it's like I said, it looks like she's just wearing like one of those like sailor outfits, but it's pink. And it's got like the white, lining and stuff, and it's got like this, she's got a scarf. Does she have a hat? I don't think she has a hat.
She doesn't have a hat.
But it's definitely like a sailor outfit, right?
No.
Like a Donald Duck sailor outfit, but instead of blue, it's pink.
Kind of, I guess.
Exactly. Okay. 100% what I said. But they're like, it's Earth. Definitely Earth. And the Doctor's like, or is it? Because she's like, it smells like it just rained. And the Doctor is like, but everything is dry. There's nothing wet at all. But it smells like it rained.
They decide it is Earth because only Earth has acorns.
And oak trees.
I mean, yes. We said the same thing.
No, I said the tree. You said the specific thing the tree brought forth.
All right.
They're two completely separate elements that are connected.
Okay.
The Doctor has a device that beeps. I don't remember what the beeping's for, but it's going to lead us to adventure. I think maybe there's like a low level of radiation or something. I don't think he says that, but he says something else, but that's what it is.
Yes.
So Sarah's like, which way should we go? And the Doctor goes, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? And then they head off, and she's like, what's so special about eeny, meeny, miny, mo? And he's like, nothing at all, really. It's the same thing as...
He tries to
he
say...
says he tries to say fee, fi, fo, fum, but like...
He says faux fee... He messes it up. And Sarah Jane's just like, what was that now? I'm sorry, what are you trying to say?
I almost missed that because as they're walking, just in the background, very subtly, is the unit soldier just standing there. They walk right by him without seeing him because nobody in this show has peripheral vision. But then he like twitches his way out of the shadows. And the Doctor and Sarah Jane bump into some other guys who are wearing white spacesuits. And once again, Sarah Jane, much like in the Sontaran experiment, is a racist. And it's just like, I instantly don't trust these guys.
I mean, to be fair, seconds later, they do shoot at her. So maybe she just has good instincts.
Maybe. But they could have been fine.
But they weren't. They shot at her.
With their finger guns.
You were like, is
this Autons?
It's not.
It's not Autons.
They just have finger guns.
This is the first of a handful of things that are reminiscent of previous serials. Which I didn't really like... I noticed as we went along, but I also didn't care too much. But...
Yeah, you weren't like, this is the same story again. It's a lot of elements, but not a complete retreading of the same story.
But like, this is definitely the first thing, which is the finger guns. Handguns, right? Gun hands, not handguns.
Not handguns.
And then we get, I already know this is an establishing trait for Sarah Jane, because I remember it happens in the Five Doctors later, right? It was Sarah Jane who fell down the hill, right?
Yeah.
Sarah Jane falls down a hill in some of the weirdest... I don't know. Like, it was filmed in, like, 3 different locations, none of which matched.
It was weirdly edited, yeah.
Like, she's like...
she didn't have enough room to fall, and so they had to, like, make her do it multiple times.
I don't even know. Like, I was making GIFs for this scene, and, like, she walks into a bush and goes, ah! And falls behind the bush, and the doctor just goes, Sarah! Like, throws his hands in the air. Then it cuts to a shot of her rolling down a hill. Like, she had to have went through the bush.
Yes.
And then cuts to another shot where she's hanging off of the cliff side, which she can easily get up. Like, when the doctor's pulling her up, she basically just swings her foot onto the thing and lifts herself. It's like, it's not even... She's doing most of the work. The doctor's just kind of there. But once they get up, they see Twitchy running, and they're like, start yelling at him, stop, man, stop.
Because he's just running, like, full force.
Towards the cliff.
Yes.
And he jumps off the cliff in slow motion.
I think maybe he must have just been broken. Just a malfunctioning robot.
Spoilers, there's robots in this. So at this point, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's happening. We've got finger gun guys, we've got Twitchy unit soldiers. What may or may not be Earth is weird. So they go check out his body, and they're like, yeah, that's Unit. They rifle his pockets, and
That's what you do.
They find a bunch of coins in his pocket, and they're all newly minted, and they have the same year on them, and they're like shiny new. And also nearby this broken man's body is a weird black organic looking, looks like a giant nut or something, black nut, but like long. Like coffin sized.
I mean, I thought just that's an interesting description. I thought it looked kind of like an asteroid, like a coffin asteroid.
Coffin asteroid. I thought it looked kind of like a very oversized like seed.
I guess I can see that. Yeah,
like an apple seed or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, but like huge and not flat, big enough like a body can fit in it. Because spoilers later on, there's a body in it. But they get shot at before they can. They get shot at by the finger guns before they can properly examine it. And they run away into a village that is quiet.
Too quiet.
No, it's the right amount of quiet.
Oh, okay.
You never hear that in a show. This place is quiet. The right amount of quiet.
Just right.
Perfect. And also, Sarah Jane recognizes the place.
She's been there before for a story.
So they go to the pub. And they're like, people will be at the pub, and if not, Let's get wasted.
If not, there's beer at the pub. Ginger beer.
Yeah.
That's what the doctor orders when he gets to the pub.
Is ginger beer like root beer?
Yeah, but with ginger.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had it.
Me either. I wanted one after we watched the cereal.
Does it taste like ginger ale, maybe?
Let's Google it.
Ale and beer. Ginger ale, ginger beer. Maybe it's a British thing.
Not to be confused with ginger ale, so it's different.
Okay, so it is different.
Manufactured rather than brewed. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia for ginger beer, and I don't understand the technical difference between the two.
If you know the difference, call in at 1-888-555-8855. Or, message us on Tumblr. So, but the doctor gets his, I'm pretty sure he gets a ginger beer. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't.
He does. He gets a ginger beer. He orders one.
Well, there's nobody there to order it.
He does later.
Yeah. But right now, there's no one in the pub. It's empty. So the doctor just goes through the cash register.
All brand new coins.
All brand new coins. All freshly minted.
He says that like it's so suspicious. And I was like...
Maybe they just went to the bank.
Yeah, the first time I was like, maybe that guy literally just came back from the bank. That happens. Or maybe he put like a $20 bill into a parking meter because that's all he had, and then the parking meter was like, here's all these Sacagawea dollars because that's what's in the parking meter, and then you're like, now I've got 19 Sacagawea dollars all in my pocket at once.
That sounds very personal.
And everyone's like, why are your pockets so noisy? Why are you jingling so much? And you're like, it's a whole thing.
Did this happen to you?
Yeah. It did.
Why is it so full of Sacagawea dollars?
They don't have, because they don't keep...
Dollars?
Yeah. It only dispenses Sacagawea dollars.
It was annoying. Because, I had so many.
Because, yeah.
And then I'd, pawn them off on somebody, and they didn't want them. I remember I used to get them at the movie theater, and it would just be like, Why did they pay in these awful coins?
They don't fit anywhere in the drawer. There's no room for them.
Exactly. It's awful. It's the first thing that goes in the deposit. And you're like, I'm taking the money to the bank, making sure all of these weird-ass coins are in the bag.
So anyway, all I'm saying is, maybe it's not evil alien plot. Maybe he just went to that one parking garage, and that's where all those quarters, or all those coins are from.
But no, it's an evil alien.
It is.
But they, to be fair, they do talk about it for a little while in this scene about what it could be. They're like, well, the doctor's like, there's these low levels of radiation. Maybe there's been some sort of outbreak, and this place it's been evacuated, and that the people in the white suits are guards. And, they had to explain why Twitchy's acting all weird. And they're like, well, what about the coins? And he's like, well, you have to get fresh coins because of germs?
Yeah, that was kind of a stretch.
That was definitely kind of a stretch.
Sarah Jane points out that they must have evacuated quickly because there's, like, beer on the table still.
Yeah.
The doctor's like, well, yeah, you evacuate quickly. You wouldn't want to do it slowly.
So you leave the beers, but change the change. But then they look out the window and they see the people in white coming, and they have Twitchy with them, who is no longer Twitchy.
Not dead.
Not dead or Twitchy, even though he clearly, died. So, weird.
What's up with that? What's happening there?
And
what is it?
Who knows?
Oh, man.
It's very mysterious. So, they're coming by, and Sarah Jane accidentally knocks over a pitcher, which breaks, and they're like, what was that? And they start to come into the pub, but then they're distracted by a truck that is coming in.
And the truck is just full of people. Just average people sitting very still.
They're British. They're very polite.
No, they're robots.
Or are they? We don't know that yet. But yeah, they're robots. They get out of the truck very methodically.
Yeah, I really like that. Everybody did a very good job of, these tiny, robotic, expressionless actions getting out of the truck.
Sarah Jane recognizes one of them, too, from the last time she was here.
Anytime we have a first episode where I'm like, what
is going on?
What the? I'm just confused. What is happening? It's always a good place to be in.
Yeah, sometimes that doesn't get followed up on very well.
Yeah.
Like in the Space Museum, which had an amazing first episode, and then the rest was just kind of, revolution. But this one keeps up the momentum for the most part, I'd say.
And the confusion a lot.
So they hide in a closet, and everybody comes in and just stands around. They get in position. Some of them sit down, some of them are standing up, but they're all just standing there quietly. Just standing there. And they're peeking out of the closet door at him what the fuck is going on? And then the clock chimes, and when it finishes chiming,
they all
in unison,
turn on.
Yeah, they all just start going about they're just going on about like it's a normal day. It's very weird. And the doctor's like, I'm gonna go leave and find help. I'm pretty sure there's unit people nearby, unit base. I'll go check them out and see, hey, what's going on? He gives Sarah Jane the TARDIS key. And is if things go wrong or bad or whatever, just head towards the TARDIS. The doctor leaves, and then Sarah Jane is immediately found as soon as he leaves. And she has a very intensely weird, everybody just stops and stares at her sort of thing.
She's just trying to have a normal conversation, and they're like, outsider, what are you doing here?
And then they're one of the unit soldier Twitchy guy starts interrogating her. She's like, I'm just here. My car broke down. I'm here. Why are you all acting weird? They're having arguments amongst themselves. Maybe she's part of the test. And you're like, what test?
What test? What is this?
And they're one of them kind of just warns her you probably should get out of here.
Maybe it would be best if you just left.
So she does. I'm pretty sure she says something about him looking good for someone who just fell down a cliff. Then she sees the person in white outside of the truck, and she runs up behind the truck and hides behind it and is peeking out. And the thing in the white suit slowly turns around, and it ain't got no face. It's just got a circuit board. It's got electronic shit.
They've been showing a lot of robots lately that are less complete. We got that one, the robots in the Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
Where they're just sort of the wire frame. And, like, this...
The junk inside of it, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, this one is very much, like, the insides of a robot, you know, when you, like, peel back the, like, skin and it's just, like, the wires and the eyeballs, and, like, that's...
Yeah, this doesn't even have eyeballs, this one.
Yeah, it's just, like, exposed circuitry. I dig that aesthetically.
You remember when you were a kid and you get those little games where you had to, like, flip the balls into the little slots? Like, it was, like, either, like, a baseball thing or sometimes it was, like, an underwater thing. It's like a tiny little pinball thing, basically.
Yeah.
That's what their faces look like. Those little toys, those little handheld pinball things you'd get. They were, like, square and clear and see-through, plastic and see-through. They kind of look like that to me.
Huh.
So she, like, bolts, and the doctor goes to what looks to be, like, a hotel. I don't know. Like, it's the unit base, but it looks like... doesn't look very official. It looks like just some random parking lot. But he goes in, and he's like... there's a unit guy in there, and he starts talking to the unit guy, and the unit guy does not respond.
He just ignores him completely.
And then the doctor's like, oh, well, and, like, goes further in to explore things. And then the unit soldier slowly turns towards him. And it's creepy as hell. Sarah Jane goes to the TARDIS, does a very stupid thing. She, like, puts the key into the TARDIS, and then notices the black coffin seed pod thing, asteroid, and is like, oh, let me go check that out, and leaves the key in the TARDIS.
Like, you've never done it before.
I've never left my keys in
You've locked your keys in the car.
I've locked my keys in the car, but that's different than just leaving it in the... I've never left it in the car door.
You've left your keys in the front door.
That's you, not me.
Oh shit, he's right. It is. What's me?
You've done that.
I'm saying I could understand how this might happen.
You could. But she she runs off to look at this thing, and then the TARDIS disappears.
Which is really sad, because there's a moment where Sarah thinks the doctor is in there. Sarah thinks the doctor took off without her.
And she's like, Doctor, wait, no.
I'm still here, you can't go.
And while she's freaking out about that, the black thing opens, and a hand grabs her. And then, like, she runs off, and the lid opens all the way, and then there's just a guy sitting there, laying in there, not moving. And so she comes back to check on him, and he starts choking her. Which, like, hey, he grabbed you, maybe leave him alone.
Don't go back.
Where's her, like, sensing evilness now?
I don't know, man.
And then we cut to a guy in an eye patch, who he's been on the show before. He was the Human Thumb from The Enemy of the World, the sleaziest character in existence.
Human Thumb, that is not... that is a description that Jez?
Yeah. I'm really sure Jez called him, like, if thumbs were a person, he would be that thumb. That's what he looks like. Yeah. He's so slimy in Enemy of the World. He's better here, but I still get, like,
he's Weasley.
He's still slightly Weasley. I don't know if some of that's just from my, like, remembering him from Enemy of the World, or if that's his character.
No, he's a little Weasley.
He's being bossed around by a very grumpy voice, who will be eventually revealed to be the bad guys of the serial, the Crawls. Let's talk about the Crawls real quick. We're not quite to them yet, but we can go ahead and talk about them. They're probably the worst part of this serial.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons.
They're not a great design.
Their faces could be okay. It's the fact that the mouth doesn't really work.
Yeah, and the masks are very boring. Like, on top of that. And their outfits are very boring.
They just, like, wear commando boots and stuff.
Yeah, I have to imagine that they just didn't have enough time to, like, come up with a completely new creature, and this was, like, what was laying around.
Yeah, and, like, there's two primary crawls, and, like, I can't even really tell you the difference between the two. They're not super well developed, I don't think. They're just kind of interchangeable. So that's the weak point, is the crawls, I'd say. And but Eye Patch guy is okay. Something ridiculous happens with him later, but we'll get there. But yeah, he's basically working for the big bads. And at this point I'm like, what is happening? Who is this? What is this? We've had so many random weird things.
Like, there's no way that these are all going to connect into one story.
And they do, surprisingly, kind of.
Mostly.
He's been informed that somebody's come in, which we find out he's at the unit base. And the doctor is in the unit base. And we see the Briggs name. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart on the door. And the doctor goes in to say hi, and there's nobody in there. There's somebody in that office later. Well, not that specific office, because it turns out this is in the exact same office, but not the same office. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I watched the episode.
There's a guy in there who's supposed to be the brig. The doctor sees a map or something on the desk and picks it up, and Eye Patch guy comes in with a gun and it's like, don't make any sudden movements. And the doctor's like, that's the nicest thing I've heard since I've gotten here.
At least someone's acknowledging my existence.
The doctor is hiding behind the map the whole time. And then the Eye Patch guy knocks it down. Okay, here's where the title comes from. He says he's going to put the doctor in detention. And the doctor's like, detention? I don't want detention. And then, like, pushes the desk, the brig's desk at him, and runs off. The doctor's running around. He's getting shot at by unit soldiers, getting shot at by the guys in white. And he jumps off the roof of the building onto, like, a lower roof. Does a tumble. Sarah Jane has come here too, and she's seeing all this, but she's not contacted the doctor yet. She's just watching all this happen. But the doctor, like, jumps off this building, lands, and then gets surrounded by the finger guns. And, like, it's just an ominous shot of a guy pointing at the doctor.
He goes,
is that finger loaded?
that finger loaded.
And then, I guess, the finger guy somehow non-verbally communicates that yes, it is. And they take the doctor away. And they put the doctor in detention.
Oh man, not detention.
But Sarah Jane comes up and comes to the rescue. She's like, I'm rescuing you for once.
How about that?
But they don't know this, but they are being watched. Because this thing on the wall, I don't know, an air conditioner or something, slides away. Okay, you said the masks aren't great, but it works here. There's just this weird fucking face with one big eyeball just, like, staring out of this hole. And that's the cliffhanger. And I was like, what the hell is that? It reminds me a bit of, like, a lumpy potato. So it's like a lumpy Santaran.
Yeah, it's exactly like a lumpy Santaran.
Speaking of, their plot is basically the Santaran experiment.
Yeah.
Kind of.
A bit.
That and the new one, In Extremis. In a way, from the 12th Doctor.
Well, it's not a bad plan. Learn what you can
before you invade. But that's the end of episode 1. We are now into episode 2, which I've called The Final Test. Because that's what it is. It's all a test, you guys. We've already sort of spoiled that. But the weird thing, the crawl calls Patchy. We got Twitchy and Patchy.
Twitchy and Patchy.
It was the Twitchy and Patchy show. The crawl's like, we need to stop them. They're escaping and we need to stop them. Or we need to destroy them or whatever. But, like, Patchy is, like, really excited about the Doctor and Sarah Jane. Because he's like, we can study them and it'll be great. It'll be fun. And, like, he flip-flops so many times in the serial between, like, kill them and, no, they're cool.
Don't kill them. Yeah. I think, actually, one of the crawls is like, you only changed your mind because I said that you need to kill him. And you're just, like, a coward.
Okay, I just realized they're called crawls, and this is Terry Nation script. Sounds a lot like thalls. The alarms go off and they start chasing Sarah Jane and the Doctor, and they're hiding, and they do a little bit of exposition, and Sarah Jane explains that part of what her story was about Patchy, Eye Patch guy.
He was an astronaut.
And,
went missing. Basically, she says, like, he can't be him, he's dead.
He went into space, vanished. They thought he hit an asteroid. And it's at this point that after he's already been like, I'm excited about the Doctor and Sarah Jane, that he's like, kill them. And the crawl's like, no, don't kill them. They just go back and forth for, like, no real reason. I think it's just whatever Patch guy says, the crawl's immediately like, no, the other one! The opposite of what you said.
Whatever you said, the opposite of that.
Then Sarah Jane and the Doctor bump into somebody in the hallway. And I was excited, then sad.
Oh, love.
It's Benton! They're like,
Sorta.
Benton! And then he pulls a gun on them immediately. And I'm like, Benton, buddy, what are you doing? Them's your friends. He gets distracted because, like, Eye Patch is like, no, we gotta kill him, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, they do a mind fuckery thing with him. And he's like, ah! And then, like, collapses on his desk. And then it, like, fucks with Benton, too. And he's like, ugh. And the Doctor and Sarah Jane run. And then Benton gets, like, people like, we gotta go after him. And then Benton and other soldiers rush out to go find them. And then we find out that the Doctor and Sarah Jane had doubled back and are still inside the building. That's pretty clever.
Sarah Jane doesn't really think so. She's like, why would we come back? Why would we not just run as far as we possibly could? And the Doctor's like, You don't learn things that way.
I love the way this scene is shot, too, because it's straight up comedy 101. Because, like, the whole conversation is just over a still shot of, like, a desk. Like, you don't see them at all. And then they, like, pop up, like, all right, let's go explore. And then they immediately have to pop back down because another returning face shows up. Harry Sullivan. I'm surprised I recognized. Okay, both him and Benton kind of don't really...
They don't need to be in this serial.
They don't need to be in this serial.
I missed them and I was happy to see them, but didn't you read something?
Oh yeah, neither one of them liked being in this serial.
Because they were like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, Harry Sullivan was like, I had no reason to be in it. I was like, there was no reason for me to be there. Like, I didn't do anything. And Benton was like,
And if Harry Sullivan is saying that...
Do you mean your entire season, buddy? But, like, also, like, John Levine, who plays Benton, was just like, he was just sad that there wasn't more unit people. Like, he's like, there was no other recurring people besides me and Harry Sullivan. Like, he's like, it would have been great if there was more of us.
If it was me and the Brig and...
Yeah, the Brig wasn't there because he was doing a play, I believe.
Oh.
So, Harry is also sent out to find the doctor.
Harry, by the way, is...
So I gifed this whole serial. I only made, like, maybe 1 or 2 gifs with Harry. That's how little impact he has on this.
He seems to be a soldier
well...
Here?
Yeah, but when... Okay.
Later he's not.
Later he's not. Yeah, he's there...
But right now...
For medical reasons.
Yeah, right now, he's just a soldier for no reason. And that's, like, another thing where, like... It's just another thing of the Doctor and Sarah Jane being like, what is this?
They assume something is controlling all the humans. They're half right. Okay, so I don't remember the context of this scene, but they're, like, going around and doing stuff, and the Doctor says, so far, so good. And then Sarah Jane said the man falling from the skyscraper, which I thought was funny. And then they leave the building. They do run away. So now they're behind them, I guess? What was the point of all this? Because they do almost immediately get caught.
Fill some time.
They run away. Sarah Jane does a thing that drives me crazy in like 90% of media.
What thing?
She falls and twists her ankle.
Oh.
That is such a cop-out. I don't know. I hate that. They do it in everything.
What upsets you about it?
That it's so overdone. It happens in like almost every horror movie. Oh no, I've fallen and twisted my ankle. Like, no one falls and twists their ankle that frequently.
I mean, to be fair, if you're running as often as the Doctor does, it probably happens more frequently than if you're just me, who never runs. But that was more true before I did roller derby. Now I'm just going to be broken all the time.
But she also does it in a clear pathway.
Yeah.
But it is cute, like, how, like, the Doctor comes back to help her, and she's basically just like, leave me alone, I'm fine.
I've got it.
But they literally release the hounds on them. They're being chased by, like, they've got dogs hunting them down. Are those real dogs?
Are they real dogs?
Yeah, considering what we find out later. Are those real dogs? Where did they get dogs?
No, they must be robot dogs.
Huh. Weird.
I thought you meant, like, in the show. Like you were asking me if the dogs were played by puppets.
No.
It's like, what? No, it would just be easier to get real dogs. What are you...
So the Doctor picks up Sarah Jane, hides her in a tree, and then runs off. And then he's like, I'm gonna go to the TARDIS, I'll meet you there. And she's like, oh, wait.
Oh, shit.
But he's already gone. The unit people are looking for him, and they're like, well, we've lost his trail, we'll have to go back. And it's because the Doctor's just straight up jumped into a river, and that worked.
That's a really great scene of him
just like popping up out of the way.
Popping back up, and his hair that's so big and so curly is just smooshed all onto his face.
And he has to do that like dramatic hair flip to get it out of his face. And then Sarah Jane is climbing down from the tree and gets caught pretty much immediately. The Doctor returns to the village, goes into one like a payphone, those red telephone booths, not the big blue one that he...
The Inspector's FaceTime ones.
Yes, the Inspector's FaceTime ones. But he can't make a call, and it does not work.
None of the phones work.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sarah Jane is being strapped onto a weird table. Harry Sullivan is at the controls of the weird table, turns it on, and it's like this weird light machine. And it just goes, and there's blue lights all over. And
it goes what?
It goes, and she's like, the lights. Give me sunglasses. This is the second time we see the crawl because we saw his face in the hole, and then now we just see it from her point of view, and they put like a distorted effect on it, so it's very weird. And it's the second time where I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What are they doing to her? We'll find out.
Who are they? What do they want? Why are they doing anything? We don't know. We don't know anything.
So the doctor can't find a telephone. He's in the pub, bumps into the barkeep, who is acting very strange.
This is when he orders a ginger beer.
Yes, pint of ginger beer. And he picks up some darts, starts throwing
them. Oh, wait, we didn't mention, because it's very important. At the beginning of episode 1, the doctor offers some of his ginger beer to Sarah Jane.
Oh, right, I said it as a plot point, and I didn't say why.
You didn't say why. That's why.
Yeah, because Sarah Jane is like, I don't like this stuff. But the doctor picks up some darts in this pub, starts throwing them at the dartboard. Guess what? He gets 3 bullseyes.
And it's a brand new dartboard.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Specifically after the barkeep says, like, because he's like, this place is kind of dead, and he's like, I guess you don't get a lot of business. And he's like, yeah, not really, except on, dart night, or whatever you call the dart matches. And he's like, that's weird, your board is like...
brand new.
Never been used. And it's also a camera that, because we see the crawls are watching him, and it's like, it's just the dartboard pattern on the screen, with the doctor's, like, looking at the darts all weird.
The Crawls don't know what's going on either. So
they're like, why is he here? But then they sort of say what they're doing, that they're doing experiments to see if their techniques are flawless, and the final test is about to start. So they've been using all these people to test things out.
The pre-invasion test.
My next note just says, the doctor is a libertarian.
Yeah, they have unit files on the doctor. And they're like, he's very anti-authoritarian. From what files we have on him, he's bound to kind of fuck up our plans.
So the doctor checks out the bar while the barkeep is, I don't know, gone away to get some more ginger pop. And the doctor checks the calendar. And oh my god! It's Friday, July 6th! We're recording this on Friday, July 6th! Weird. Stop saying things at the same time as me. But okay. he pulls the little... It's like one of those page-a-day calendars that just says the day on it. And he rips it off. And it's the one behind it says, July 6th, Friday. And he flips underneath it. And it's July... All of them. July 6th.
July 6th.
Friday. And I think it's weird that it's Friday. And it's Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, July 6th. Day and date. Everything. Weird. How often is July 6th on a Friday?
I mean, I don't know.
But then something weird happens.
Something weird happens?
Yeah.
On Doctor Who?
Weirder than the phone rings, which has previously been established that it doesn't work. The phone rings, the doctor picks it up and hands it to the barkeep. Barkeep says, it's for you. The doctor talks on it. And
it's Sarah Jane.
Yeah. Says she's escaped and learned their whole plan and to meet her, and they'll go over it.
The doctor says, that sounds pretty legit.
Doesn't sound suspicious at all.
No, the doctor's very suspicious.
And then he hangs up and he picks up the phone again and he's like, weird, doesn't work again. One of the crawls is worried that the doctor's going to fuck things up. One of them's like, listen, I'm going to reprocess these androids and make them more right?
No.
More hostile.
No. Not just that more hostile. The fight that they're having is that the robots are like a double-edged sword. Because if they're like perfect, if they're indestructible, which at this point I think they've been established to be, right? This is what happened. This is a later episode.
They're not indestructible.
They are tougher in the beginning. And then later the guy's like, the doctor is smart enough to like reprogram them. So if they're so strong, then he's gonna reprogram them and turn them against you. And he's like, okay. So he like makes them more destructible.
Okay, I thought he was making them more fierce to fight the doctor.
I mean, I think both of those things happen. But he also makes them like more breakable.
Well, I thought he was just like, I'm gonna make them more fierce and show you that I can still stop them.
Yeah, I mean, he did both of those things. Because he said, I'm going to make them more hostile. And the one was like, okay, be careful doing that, because anything you make might be turned against you. So he's like, all right, more hostile and also more breakable. I'm a genius.
Yeah, okay, so we're skipping forward a little bit, talking about that scene, but I want to talk about it. So he turns one of, there's like one of those, like, blank robots, one of the blank androids, and it like a unit soldier appears over it, programs it, right? And it's like super strong and whatever, and then he shoots it. The guy playing the unit soldier dies hilariously, by the way. He takes like 5 minutes to fall, and falls around the corner of a wall. Like, he has to, like, lift his legs up. Like, he's falling down after he's been shot. He hits the ground. He has to lift his legs up and flop them down behind the wall. It's really ridiculous. But he's like, see, they're really strong, but, like, I stopped them with my gun. So, we're great. But that also sets up something that contradicts something later that bugs me a little bit. But we'll get there. So, the doctor goes and finds Sarah Jane. She does basically tell him the plot a little bit. Tells him what's going on fairly accurately.
Yeah.
The doctor offers her some ginger pop. She accepts and says it's delicious.
Very
weird.
Suspicious.
And she said, but the thing she says is that the eye patch guy is behind it all. Which is not true.
Like, the relationship that the eye patch guy has with the, I can't think of what they're called because I want to call them thalls.
Crawls.
The crawls is very much like a low-level employee that wants to be a mid-level employee and, like, their abusive boss. That's the relationship that they have.
That sounds right. But she says that that he's duplicating and replacing people. The doctor's like, I think we're being tested. Saying, like, it was so easy that we got back together. I think they're testing us to see what's going on.
To see how smart we are.
See how smart we are. But another thing he says is, like, if they've duplicated and replaced people on Earth, what are they afraid of?
Right.
Why are they, like, freaking out?
What? They must have this invasion plan that they're not ready. Well, why are they being so sneaky? Why aren't they just doing whatever they're doing?
Because at this point, they don't realize that they're not on Earth. They think that this is already a conquered Earth, potentially. Right?
Yes.
So, like, let's go to the TARDIS. And so they head out. Doctor and Sarah Jane can't find the TARDIS. The doctor asks her for the key, and she's like, oh, I don't have the key. I must have lost it. And then that's when the doctor's like, nothing here is real. This is all fake, including you.
Fake!
And Sarah Jane pulls a gun on him, and he's like, okay, so of all the things that could have tipped him off, and probably that were all clues, the thing that he's like, I knew you weren't Sarah, because she didn't have a scarf! Because she had lost he took her scarf earlier in the episode.
I like that, but also, like, where did that scarf come from? They duplicated it from her memory?
Sure.
Of her having a scarf?
Yes.
Fair enough.
When he says that, he has her scarf and, like, throws it on the gun, knocks her down, and then she rolls on the ground like she did when she fell off the cliff. And then her face falls off, and it's the robo face. This one does have eyes, though.
It does have eyes. It's awful. It's terrifying. It's way too effective. Like, the shot of her face falling off, and then there being a robot face, it was very convincing and very scary.
That is a cliffhanger. I do have a problem with it, though.
Because before they just materialize?
Well, before it was like a projection over the robot body. Because, like, it would, like, fade in, and then when they die, it'd fade out. And it happens later, too, with some other androids.
I have a problem with it.
Question, why didn't Twitchy, when he fell and hit the ground, why didn't his thing disappear? Unless, maybe that's like the newer, updated model.
He was broken already.
Yeah, so his little facade just stayed on?
Yeah.
Alright, but it's inconsistent. Like, is it a projection or is it, like, real?
I'll tell you what it is.
What?
Freaking scary.
Alright, that's the end of episode 2. We're now into episode 3, which I've called It Takes a Village. So, the faceless Sarah Jane sits up and starts shooting at the doctor, which is also terrifying. You don't see her face. They just see the back of her as she sits up, which I find even more ominous. Meanwhile, real Sarah Jane is passed out, presumably. She's not passed out.
She's pretending.
And she's listening in on their plans.
Do you know what I like about that?
What?
When fake Sarah Jane is explaining how she got out, her explanation is that I pretended to be passed out. Nobody was watching me, so I escaped. And then real Sarah Jane
does the same.
Is pretending to be passed out. No one's paying attention to her, so she escapes. So they did a pretty good copy.
Yeah, and what she overhears is there's 9 minutes before a bomb goes off. Because it can't be a Terry Nation serial without a countdown.
Of course not.
Oh, another thing. So, this whole making the robot things that are duplicates of people is also kind of the Zygon thing.
Having duplicates.
/ the faceless ones. So it's all these elements we've had before, but different. So, I don't know. But Sarah Jane's going to go run and try to find the doctor and warn him about a bomb.
Because the reason why there's a bomb is because They're basically done with their experiments.
Yeah, the final test is finally tested.
So the bomb's just gonna, like, clear away the lab, the experiment place.
So the doctor returns to the village, where he sees the villagers getting back into the truck, and all of the villagers are brought back to Bad Guy HQ, which is conveniently also how Sarah Jane gets out, because they open the door to let everybody in, and then she runs out. The doctor is grabbed by one of the crawls in the village. It's a great scene, because he's like, oh, hello. And then that's when the crawl says, "Resistance is inadvisable."
Inadvisable, that's what it is. I like that. It might be useful. I just wouldn't advise it. Resistance is inadvisable.
So they tie the doctor to, like, the town square pole. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like a
little elevated thing.
Yeah, there's like a step up and a platform and a pole. Like, the only use I can think of it for is, like, burning witches.
And they tie the doctor to it with vines, plants.
Yeah.
And I was like, we run out of budget? What? It's just leaves.
But then later it's revealed that they're really, really strong leaves.
Strong as steel. Because they leave the bomb in front of the doctor. And it's got 3 minutes to go. And it's going to destroy the whole fake village. And they run off, and the doctor's like, "Hey, no, wait. Come back and we can leave together." But then as soon as they're gone, Sarah Jane runs up and helps the doctor.
They just barely get out of there.
Yeah, because she's trying to cut it. It won't cut. It's strong as steel, so they have to sonic it. And that works. And then they run. He, like, as soon as he's free, he just bolts. And she's like, "Hold up a second. I know where to go." And they get inside the ship, basically.
Yes.
It's a ship. And basically, as the bomb goes off, and then they just start hilariously throwing themselves to the ground in slow motion.
Wow!
It's Sarah Jane is giving it her all. It's fantastic. And then the entire village
it's just
disappears.
Gone.
That's a really good effect. It doesn't fade away. It, like, dissolves. And there's just, like, desert. Great. But Sarah Jane and the doctor get caught because they fell down. And they're going to leave. And they get put into a cell, and Eye Patch Guy comes in. Okay, now Eye Patch Guy is now again wanting to save the doctor and Sarah Jane.
This is the point where one of the crawls is like, "All right, we did our test. It's over. Go ahead and kill the doctor." And he's like,
"Let me study their brain." And they're no longer a threat. Because we did what we needed to do. They're not a threat. Let's keep them around and study them.
And then Crawler basically, like,
study him, then kill him.
Yes.
Don't tell Patchy. So then the doctor tells Sarah Jane, everything was fake. And Eye Patch is listening in on him as they're, like, kind of coming up with, like, they're discussing things, talking about plans, etc. And he comes in and is like, "Listen, you guys have nothing to worry about. These guys are fine. They saved my life. Like, I did crash into that asteroid. They've rebuilt me. The only thing they couldn't is
rebuild. They couldn't rescue my eye.
Because it was gone."
This is probably my favorite plot point in this whole serial.
So they can't remake his eye because it doesn't exist, but they can make a fucking scarf.
Well,
yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's a clue. That this maybe isn't as it seems.
He's basically very Stockholmed right now.
Yeah, and he's like, basically, they're going to take me back to Earth, and I'm gonna land, and then we're gonna have, chats with the Earthlings, and everything's gonna be cool.
He thinks that he's gonna show up and be like, "Anyway, guys, like, diplomatically speaking, we've got this bunch of aliens and their planet's no longer inhabitable. They're going to inhabit, like, this half of the Earth."
He even says that the plan is they're going to replace certain members of certain prominent figures with androids to get them on their side, but then there'll be peace.
He does not think anyone's going to die. He's like, "Well, they gave me their word. They wouldn't lie." Right. You can't just go around lying to people. But you can, though.
He's a very weirdly inconsistent character, now that I think about it.
I mean, I think a lot of that is sort of written off as he's not super all there. He's been... The town was built. The town that everything was tested in was built from his memories. That's why there's, like, some inconsistencies. It's shown that, like, whatever process they used to do that was really rough on him. Because there's, like, a moment where they're like, "Hey, put him back in the mine thingy because we need to build some stuff.
Well, they're making that unit soldier, yeah.
And he's like, don't put me back in it. I literally can't do it again.
But they do anyway.
But they do anyway. So it's whatever process they use to, like, read his memories and then build that town from his memories has messed with his head a little bit. Not to mention, like, he's been severely brainwashed.
But so he's like, I'm going to take you, Doctor, and we're going to suck out all your brain stuff, extract it, duplicate it and stuff. And they head out. No, they don't head out. They're like, we're getting it ready, so we'll be back, is what they say. Meanwhile, Harry Sullivan is putting a drop of a virus. He's, like, handling it. And they're like, be very careful with that. The Kralls are.
This is still the fake Harry Sullivan.
Yeah, the fake Harry Sullivan. And he pours a drop into a glass, like a pitcher of water. Like, I only need a drop. And then he, like, goes to hand it to the Kralls, and they're like, what? No. Take that to the Doctor and Sarah Jane. And so he does. On his way there, we see that the doctor has sonicked the floorboard of the cell, and he's like, what we're going to do is we're going to electrocute the guard. But before he can do that, Harry comes in.
Sarah Jane, by the way, has, like, some objections to that. She's like, that seems like a bit much. And the doctor's like,
robots.
They're robots. They don't have souls. It's fine.
How does that make you feel?
A little sad.
So, but then Harry comes in with the food and the virus and takes the doctor. He's like, and it's time for the doctor to get his thing. So he takes the doctor. But as the doctor's leaving, the doctor's just like, be careful with that water. It's an excellent conductor. Very unsubtly.
He says that. And then Sarah Jane takes all this water.
And she pours it
up to the door.
At the entrance, yeah.
And then when the robot guard comes up, she pretty much just puts the cable, like, to the guard, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She doesn't use the water at all. I mean, I guess the fact that he's standing in water helps.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just imagined that, like, the cable didn't reach all the way to the door. And so that she was gonna, like, put it to the water. I guess it still makes sense. It just wasn't what I was expecting for whatever reason.
Yeah, because she unplugged something from the floor, right?
Yeah. There's, like, just this big cable running through the floor of the...
Man, it is violent, too, when she blows them up. Well, first she, like, sets her scarf on fire.
To set off an alarm?
Well, no, just smoke goes under the door, and the guard opens the door to see what's going on, and then and, like, his chest fucking explodes.
Yeah.
Like, there's fire coming out of him, and he falls down, and just his back just goes... Like, it's like, Jesus! It's intense. While this is happening, they've taken the doctor to the machine. And he does a great bit where he's like, okay, bye! And then runs and then jumps, but, like, basically lands in all of the unit soldiers' arms, and they slap him onto the table.
I have one of my favorite lines, which is that they explain that they're, like, going to take the doctor's, like, memory and brains and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And the doctor says, that's stealing! Like, so scandalized.
It is stealing. That's wrong. And the doctor stands for the opposite of wrong. Good, right.
Good, right.
Good, right. Then the Krall just starts explaining their plan because it's what you do.
Yeah.
They're going to spread a virus that's going to kill all the humans. And they will wait in a spaceship until the virus clears out, and then they'll go take over. And then the doctor's like, something will go wrong. Don't you worry about it.
It's probably going to be me.
And then they process the doctor, and he gets the blue lights, and is like, ah! And then the Krall, he's at the machine, and he's like, I'm going to leave this machine on until the doctor's skull explodes. And then walks away. And it's like, damn! But Sarah Jane has escaped, so she finds the doctor and turns off the machine. And then she accidentally turns it back on.
She turns it up higher.
Yeah, because she's like, I think she's trying to figure out how to unlock, like, get him unlocked.
Yeah.
And then just turns it on more. Then she finally does turn it off. And then the doctor starts quoting maybe Alice in Wonderland. I'm not sure. He just starts rambling off some nonsense.
What was he saying?
He's saying something. I'm pretty sure he's saying something about dormouses and treacle.
Oh,
and then there's random names. Just utter nonsense. Sarah Jane's like, snap out of it or whatever. And he's like, I'm very disoriented. And she's like, this is the disorientation center. Makes sense. And then they get out of there. And they get into a rocket. The rocket that's gonna go to Earth with Patchy in it. Inside the rocket are the black coffins. That's what I'm gonna call them. The black coffins, the meteorites. And they're basically what they're gonna do is shoot those off, and they're like, "Oh, that came with the rocket."
it's just
androids.
Like debris.
Yeah, and it's going to have the androids and the virus inside of it, but, people just think that it's asteroids and not worry about it. That's part of their plan. But the Doctor and Sarah Jane are going to get in them. Sarah Jane gets into one. Doctor doesn't. And the rocket takes off, and the Doctor falls down. And Sarah Jane hasn't closed the lid on it.
No. And the G-force from the rocket is basically crushing her to death.
And that's the cliffhanger, is her giant stretched face going, ah, ah.
It's such a tight close-up, and it's so uncomfortable.
And that's the end of episode 3. We are now into the final episode 4, which I've called Double the Doctor.
This stressed me out so bad.
So Sarah Jane blacked out, but the Doctor wakes her up. They're talking.
And in the background,
there's another Doctor.
A coffin kind of opens and closes, and the Doctor peeks his head out and goes back in it.
It's very creepy.
And at this point, we're like,
which one's the real Doctor?
Which one's the real one?
It's the one talking to Sarah Jane. But you don't know.
Not right away. Not for a while.
It becomes clear pretty quickly, but you don't know for a little bit. But he's comes up with a plan that they're not going to stay in the rocket. They're going to get into, because they'll be looking for him in the rocket, they're going to get into the coffins and get shot out. Even though that may not work, because those coffins are full of robots. They're not robots. Robots can probably withstand crash landing. Who knows if they can? And Sarah Jane's like, what?
That's your plan? And the Doctor's like, yeah, that's our plan. She's like, all right. She just accepts it so...
Well, I can't remember exactly what it is, because she says, so what you're saying, she, sums it up. It's so what you're saying is, well, we're going to get in these things, we're going to go crash land on the planet and probably die. And he's like, yes, you've pointed out the one minor flaw in our plan. And she's like, our plan? It's your plan! And he's like, yeah, but have you got anything better? She's like, no. So they do it. The ship is coming in. Patchy, eye patch guy, calls in. And they're like, it's Unit, and they're going to bring him down. And then Benton comes in from outside.
Benton.
Real Benton! Or is it? No,
it
it is. It is. Comes in and bumps into Real Harry and says, he's worried about it, because about where the Doctor, he's like, we can't find the Doctor. And he's like, but he's worried. He's like, we found the TARDIS, and it's weird that he left the key in it.
That's not like him. That's I don't know, Sarah Jane, maybe.
Or this one person I know in the future named Toni. But Harry's like, don't worry about it. And then I'm going, yay, real Benton. Benton is great. Who is that?
Who just walked in? What mustache-having asshole is this? Not the Brig.
Bigwit. I'm going to call him Bigwit.
Bigwit?
Yeah. Benton is great. Who is that? Do you not know about that?
No.
There's a character in Lord of the Rings named Bigwit, who, it's played by, Flight of the Conchords, Brett.
Yeah.
He played a elf in the first Lord of the Rings movie. Just a background elf. He had no lines, but it's, very prominently displayed. So there's, the scene at the Council of Elrond or whatever, and you're basically like, Frodo's great! Who's that? And it became, a fan thing. People called him Figwit, to the point, an actual official, trading card came out with him on it.
And called him Figwit?
And it was called Figwit.
That's amazing!
And then he got a speaking role in a future Lord of the Rings movie. Brett McKenzie.
So
this is Bigwit.
This is Bigwit.
Benton is great. Who is that? Not the Brig is who it is. It's like if the Brig... I don't even know how to... He looks...
It's a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, kind of bigger.
It's like if you went to go buy the Brig, but not in the store where they sell the Brigadier, but off of some guy who's, selling Brigs from, a blanket on the street. Okay, here's the thing.
Infuriated me.
I get that they couldn't get him. I get that they had written a script with his lines, and they had to give his lines to someone else.
Colonel Faraday, by the way.
Yeah, that's his real name. That's all fine. I understand how this works. Why is that guy doing his best Brigadier impression?
Right?
Because it's infuriating.
He's playing him so... the Brig, but slightly dumber.
It's that actor's take on the Brigadier. But that's nobody wants that.
No.
You're just who the hell do you think you are? I get it. But then you have to be another character. You can't be playing the Brig because it's too weird. It is. It's too weird to have this this guy who's like the Brig, and like all his lines were clearly written for him, and he's trying his best to deliver him as he think that character would deliver them, but you're not him, and it's weird.
And it's like his mustache is too small for his face. Anyway, the meteorites land, the Doctor gets out, can't find Sarah. Sarah gets out, can't find the Doctor, but she does find the TARDIS. She opens it up and looks in there and is like, Doctor? And then a hand taps her on the shoulder, and she turns around. But it's okay, it's the Doctor.
Or is it?
And she's
Wait,
like...
is it?
It's not the Doctor. Because she's like, we should... The rocket's landing, the meteorite's landing, we should go warn the unit people. And the Doctor's like, I think it would be in our best interest not to do that. She's like, what? And like behind him is another one of those space coffins. And it opens up. And Sarah Jane sits up in it. And it's terrifying. And the Doctor's just smiling. Then he stops smiling and reaches out to grab her. But she runs away. It's terrifying. And then the Doctor helps evil Sarah Jane out of her coffin. And they evilly walk away. It's just... It's
Doubles is always a thing that'll frighten me. It stresses me out. Because honestly, if someone replaced you with a robot, I'd never know.
Question, though.
Yeah.
Do we ever see the evil Sarah Jane again after this point?
I don't think so.
I don't think we do either.
Maybe we do. Maybe from this point on, the Sarah Jane that is traveling with the Doctor is a robot.
Bum, bum, bum. Nerds, prove us wrong.
You're not bothered by that at all, by the way.
What?
That I would not notice if you were replaced with a robot. I know you more than I know any single person on this earth. I would probably not notice if you were replaced by a robot.
I mean, in some canons, you definitely didn't notice.
Oh man, that's true.
That sort of kind of happened in the Projectionist Project. That's for those 5 people who watch it.
All I'm saying is, you can't really know anybody, and if you can't really know anybody, how do you know if they're not themselves? You don't.
Are you a robot?
Maybe.
The sentence I'm about to say is true. The sentence I just said is false.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of hurting my head a little bit to think about.
Oh, shit. I'm now worried. So the rocket finally lands. Eye Patch desperately wants some champagne. Bubbly, I believe he calls it.
Yes. The
Doctor enters, and I swear to God, the sliding door, we haven't mentioned it, but the sliding door to this place sounds like a fucking cheetah.
It does!
Every time someone enters or exits, it's like... I'm gonna put a sound clip of it right here. So, but the Doctor comes up and talks to one of the unit soldiers. The unit soldier stops him, and it's Twitchy. He's like, let me see some ID. So the Doctor shows him. The real
one.
Yeah, the real Twitchy. You know, that unit soldier that we know
we
and
all
love.
know and love. Twitchy.
The Twitchy and Patchy show. So, the Doctor's like, hey, have you seen me before? And he's like, what? No. He's like, well, if you see me again, report it to me immediately. I'll be in here. And he's like, what? The Doctor goes into the control center, and we get a brief little scene that doesn't need to exist, but needs to exist because I enjoy it, where Benton is on the phone, like getting frustrated about picking someone up to take him to a dance, and like you think he's talking about like, I don't know, a date or something, but he's talking about his kid sister that he's taking to a dance. And I'm just like, I like this little peek into Benton's life. It was adorable.
You love Benton so much.
Like, there's no reason for that scene at all, but I love it. Bigwit is heading out to the rocket, and the Doctor's like, don't go into the rocket. Calls him up, acts like he knows who the fuck this guy is, and says, don't do it, it's bad. Come back and let's talk about it. And he's like, all right, fine. But then somebody comes in and says, you guys, there's something out here I need you guys to look at. This, like, random secretary guy. I don't know, he's got a red sweater. I don't know what his deal is. I think he's one of the Space Center control people. But he's like, gets Benton and Twitchy to come, or he gets Benton to come out. Basically, Benton and Twitchy both get knocked out by the guy in the red sweater. Because, like, Benton's on the floor, and Twitchy comes out and is like, what's going on? And then the red sweater guy hits him, and he falls over Benton.
Yes.
And, fun fact, that's the last time we'll see real Benton. is passed out on the floor.
There's not even like a scene like, he's okay.
Nope. This is the last you see of him. I think it might be the last you see of him in Classic Hood altogether.
Like, we've had some pretty lame send-offs before, but this one's real sad.
I mean, I think we might get some more references to Benton, but I don't know. But then fake Benton shows up and he's like, let's go be evil. Ha ha ha.
Haha, I'm the evil twin.
So the Doctor is working with one of the Space Center guys on a plan to basically jam the satellites, which will make, because they're using the satellites to control the robots, I guess.
Yes.
And jamming the satellites will make them stop. Colonel Faraday, Bigwit, comes in and the Doctor warns him of the invasion, says he has a robot detector. He pulls it out and it starts going off immediately. It's basically detecting Bigwit, Benton, and the Doctor, who shows up behind him. All three robot things. So the Doctor slams the door in the face of the evil Doctor, Dr. Evil, and then immediately jumps out of the window. Like, just dives right through it, while Bigwit just stares at him like, what? And Sarah's out there, and he runs to Sarah. So then he does the thing again. He circles back around. He walks to the door just calmly, and Benton pulls a gun on him. He's like, stop where you're going. And he's like, I'm not the Doctor. Did you not hear? Like, everybody's out looking for the Doctor. I'm one of you. And he's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. He's like, I'm gonna go in here and take care of some stuff.
So what's great is then the fake Doctor comes in, and Ben pulls his gun, and the Doctor says, I'm not the real Doctor, did you not hear? Everybody's out looking for him.
But Ben doesn't even let him finish it, but he's saying the exact same thing.
The exact same thing.
Exact same way and everything, but before he can even finish saying it, Ben just straight up shoots him like 5 times. It doesn't work. And then the evil Doctor just goes, satisfied?
The line reading of satisfied is like just the best delivery that we've had in a while. And then Benton has to be like, oh shit, he just went past me. Inside
the Space Center, they've moved the satellites, but they have to press a button to jam the androids. The guy like reaches out to touch the button and then gets shot by the evil Doctor. Doctor and the evil Doctor face off, and while they're like faced off, Eye Patch shows up and is like, whoa. The Krulls told me it wasn't going to be any murder. I was down for that earlier, but suddenly now I'm very against it. Then the evil Doctor's like, fuck you. We're gonna kill people. And the Doctor's like, you've been brainwashed, basically. Or he's like, well, they saved my life and stuff. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You were fine the whole time. Don't believe me? Go look at your eye. Like, I don't know why the Doctor thinks that's true. But he's like, what? And he goes to the mirror and dramatically pulls his eye patch up, and he has both his eyes.
He's had his eye the whole time.
Not once did he go, I wonder what I look like without an eye. Let me take a peek.
Never took the eye patch off, so he slept in it.
Probably.
Showered in it.
Probably.
And never got like kind of itchy, and he rubbed it, and he was like, sometimes I can still hear its voice. Stop telling people that I'm dead.
This plot twist makes 0 sense. No sense whatsoever. But he's like, my worldview has been shattered. And then he just leaves. And then the Doctor and evil Doctor have a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
Flips him down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then he leaps off of, like, because there's like 2 levels, right? There's a downstairs, like a lower level and a higher level. And the evil Doctor leaps off the higher level into the Doctor, smashing him to the floor. And they're punching each other in the face. So pretty good. I mean, it's clearly one of them's a double, but you never see his face, unlike we have in the past.
Which means we have grown a lot as a show.
But then the Doctor presses finally, stuff happens. He presses the button and the androids all jam. And the evil Doctor has lifted this chair up and he's gonna smash it into the Doctor like fucking wrestling style. And everybody goes into slow motion and then just stops. And the androids are jammed. Meanwhile, this whole time, Sarah Jane has gone to the rocket where Harry, Sullivan, and Colonel Faraday, Bigwit, are tied up and she's freeing them. But then the Krull shows up and is like, don't do that. So he's confused about why the virus didn't work in the water, but it's because she dumped it. Eye Patch guy shows up, fights the Krull, like, you betrayed me.
The Krull's like, I didn't betray you, I used you. There's a difference. There's even less caring.
So the eye patch guy is trying to stop the Crawl, but he doesn't really do anything except get murdered.
That's sad.
Crawl shoots him and he falls down dead. And then the doctor grabs the Crawl, flips him onto the virus, like that they were going to release on the people. And like it
the
smashes
results
and
are
like,
gross.
Yeah, it's like goo. It's like yellow goo.
Like his face bubbles up in these like boils or something. I don't even know.
But in his dying moments, he shoots the doctor, and the doctor falls down dead.
And that's the end of the fourth Doctor.
Yeah.
No, it's a robot.
Because, like, Sarah Jane is, like,
oddly enough,
flying over the dead doctor again, and the doctor shows up in the thing. He's like, save your tears. It's a robot. I programmed a robot. And then it fades away, and you see the robot.
I like this twist here.
Yeah?
I don't like it later when they do it in New Who.
You talking about the wedding of River Song or whatever it's called?
Yeah, that shit's dumb. And if you want to fight me about it, fight me about it. I don't care. Shit's still dumb.
I'm with you. Also, I feel like this is very much this, the doctor making a robot as a distraction or whatever is very much something the Master would do. It felt very
It wouldn't be
mastery.
a robot. It would be a civilian with a mask of his own face.
Yes.
Glued to the person's face.
But I mean, if you think about it, it's the doctor put a mask of his own face on a robot.
Yeah.
We don't get any resolution about fucking Benton.
You okay?
No! I love Benton. Benton's my boy.
Do you think he made it to the dance with his kid sister?
Oh god, I hope so. I didn't even think about that.
What if he didn't? What if he missed it and she was like, where is he?
No. The doctor would have made sure.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, shh.
He just leaves all the time.
The doctor loves Benton, though. He does.
Yeah, but he's not all the time thinking about other people.
Listen, Ben went and got his baby sister and took her to the dance and everything was fine.
Okay.
Don't be mean. So, the doctor...
You are vexed.
I am. So the doctor and Sarah Jane return to the TARDIS. He's like, time to go home. And she's like, and that thing? No, I'm going to take a taxi. And the doctor's like, what if I'll save you some cab fare and I'll take you? And she's like, yeah, okay. And they get in the TARDIS and sail away.
I don't know, I really like Sarah Jane's like, no, I'm done. And the doctor just being like, are you
sure?
And Sarah Jane being like, no.
That's the end of the episode and the end of the serial.
All right.
That's been the Android Invasion. Bye. Now we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back for final thoughts.
Did you know the ESO Network has a brand new Patreon? That's right, we're asking for your help and you could do it for as little as $1 a month. Don't fret, all your favorite shows will still be available for free as always, but you can get exclusive podcasts and more not heard anywhere else but on our Patreon. To sign up for the ESO Network Patreon's easy. All you have to do is go to esopodcast.com and click on the link. With your support of the ESO Network, it's you who will reap the rewards.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
Tony, do you know what time it is?
I believe, if I look at the clock here,
Right.
can you pull it up for me?
Even though it's not important.
It is roughly
Yep.
time for final thoughts.
Holy shit!
Final thoughts!
I don't have a whole lot to say. It's not that this serial isn't good. It's that it followed three or four really, really solid serials. This one's really fun, but it wasn't up there at that level of holy shit, this is great. I mean, it's still really good. It's engaging the whole time. Sometimes you have a serial and you're like, man, the first episode and the last episode are great. And it gets real iffy in the middle there. Or, there are scenes that you're like, this serial's kind of a mess, but it's got that one moment in it, so that makes it serial. The serial is engaging all the way through. It's got robots in it. That's always good. It's got some genuinely really scary moments, which apparently is just a thing that's happening now. I don't know. I'm always a sucker for stories with doubles. I like it. It's kind of a bummer that this is the last real Unit story, since Unit...
I don't know if it's the last real Unit story, an all of Classico, but...
The last real story with our Unit characters, because they didn't do much in this serial. So I
believe Brig comes back eventually.
They were kind of underutilized for what's going to turn out to be the last time you see them in a long time. I would have liked to have seen, Benton and the Brig get a proper goodbye. I'm not wild about the monster design. The crawl, they're okay.
Their mouths don't move. They kind of jiggle. That's what they do.
But I'm like overall, this is a pretty solid episode without being like one of the best. That's it, really. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts about it, other than it was fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's really good for Terry Nation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not the best Terry Nation. That's still going to be Genesis of the Daleks. It does have a similar problem I have with Genesis of the Daleks of, like, not resolving certain things. Like, what happened to Benton? Or you set up this evil Sarah Jane and did nothing with it. Stuff like that. It kind of, like...
Loose threads.
Yeah, there's some loose threads. Or just, like, general inconsistencies, too. Just like the way the robots work, for example. Are they projected or are they stuff put on them? But all in all, I really liked it. It was really funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor in this one. And it moves. It's got a great pace. The whole first episode, you're just in, what the fuck is going on? Which is where I like to be.
Yeah, I think we've talked before about, like, that's our ideal Doctor Who. Is just... confusion.
Yeah. Also, it's like, the first episode is really good because it's so weird. The second episode and third episode are kind of like, I don't want to say filler, but there's stuff going on, but it's explaining the stuff a little bit. And then the fourth episode sort of changes everything in a way that I think is interesting. Like, and it changes it up enough because it becomes, now we're on Earth, real units there. And there's like the evil doctor, which is solely in the fourth episode. So there's enough new stuff to keep it fresh and interesting. So I like that aspect of it. Like, I don't think there's any bit where it sort of like bogs down really at all. There's just like constantly just stuff happening. It's just weird thing after weird thing, and it doesn't slow down. So I liked it a lot. It was really, really good. Yeah, it's not like classic. It's not like top tier, but it's good, solid fun. And I'm happy to see Ben.
Even if he might be dead?
He's not dead! Because if you watch that shot, his eyes are actually kind of blinking. He's not being real great at being unconscious, as much as I love the man. Anyway, that was the Android Invasion. If you liked this episode, you can check out more on Watch-A-Rassilon.com. Be sure to rate and comment on our iTunes. It helps us out, you guys. It gets us up in the iTunes, special secret club. They give you hot towels and peanuts if you get enough subscribers and reviews. So give us those hot towels and peanuts.
Right. Also, in reality, it helps us be seen by more people, and that helps us out tremendously.
Hot towels and peanuts. If you'd like to help us out even more, you can go to watchyourassilon.com/support, and there you can find a link to our Patreon page, which you can get to just by going to patreon.com/watchathon, and there you can donate a monthly